Okay. Um, right now, I'm going to do a couple things. One is recommend to anyone out there to read um, this book called Anatomy of the Spirit. Um, it's by Carolyn Miss, and again, it's called Anatomy of the Spirit. And this book I've been divinely guided to read, and it is amazing. It is transformative. It is extremely informative and healing, and I really, really, really suggest anyone out there read this book. Um, it is going to help heal the world. And if you've already read it, I would strongly suggest you reread it because now is a perfect time that we need to be reminded of the truths that are in this book. So, what I want to talk about is the current pandemic going on. Now, normally I don't speak about things like this or post things, you know, that'll might cause a rile. But this is really important, and we need to be aware of this. What I'm learning is that things like viruses and illnesses, pandemics, these things symbolically relate to the 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 cultural, the health of our culture and society, the spiritual health of our culture and society. And if you look back at history, you can clearly see that polio is probably the best example, considering it came after the pretty much during and after the Depression, when people were feeling, crippled by the Depression. And polio is a crippling disease. People who are more susceptible to these illnesses are going to be people who feed into the fear and the anxiety and the discontent and the divisiveness that's going on in our culture today and in our nation, in our world. It's basically impossible to turn the TV on and not just be inundated with hatred and the divisiveness and the violence and the racism and the sexism and the illness that's all around. And so, what I've chosen to do is not turn on the TV, not watch the news. Now, it's not to say I don't keep myself informed, however, I do I do wear a mask. I do, when I go into stores, I do wash my hands accordingly and all that stuff, just like we're asked to do and we're called to do in loving one another. However, I am not embracing the fear or the anxiety of this pandemic. I know it's real because I know people who have had it and who have beaten it. So I'm not saying it's not real. However, what I'm saying is it's a direct, there is a connection to our emotional and spiritual well-being, not only as individuals, but as a tribe, as a culture, as a society, as a nation, as a world, as a people. There is a direct correlation between our spiritual condition and our physical health conditions. And so, one thing that would be, you know, that has been super informative to me, like I said, is this book, Anatomy of the Spirit. I would recommend anyone to read it. It's by Carolyn Miss. And these truths are explained in more detail and more depth in this book. And if you, you know, if you search inside yourself and, ask yourself, what are you feeding your spirit? What are you feeding your mind? That's going to have an effect on how you're feeling physically and what you're manifesting in your life, health-wise as well. So I hope this proves beneficial. I would strongly suggest this book, Anatomy of the Spirit. And yeah, that's all for now.